Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to today's webinar, Talent Attraction in a Changed Economy, How to Adapt, Grow, and Move Forward Today. Hosted by SAP Insider and presented by SAP Endorsed Apps with Eightfold.ai. I'm Brittany McKeon from SAP Insider, and I will be your moderator today. Just a few announcements before we begin. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and the presenters. Later in the program, we will ask for your feedback. You can participate in the Q&A session by asking questions about the information presented in this webinar at any time. Just type your question into the Q&A text box located below the media player and click Submit. We will answer as many questions as time permits after the presentation. The slides will advance automatically throughout the event. You can also download a PDF copy of this presentation by clicking in the resources to the right of the slides. At this time, we recommend you disable your pop-up blockers. If you're experiencing any technical problems, please visit our webinar help guide by clicking on the help question mark icon on the bottom right of your console. If slides are not advancing, please press the F5 key on your keyboard to refresh. Now for today's presentation, Talent Attraction in a Changed Economy, How to Adapt, Grow, and Move Forward Today. Discussing today's topic, we have Steve Bayer, Director of Product Marketing for Eightfold, and Holly Quincey, Global Head of Talent and Attraction with Bayer Schmitz, Global Head of Talent Marketing for Talent Acquisition of Bayer PLC. Now we'll hear from you, Steve.
Thank you, Brittany, very much for the invitation today, and thank you, everyone, for making time to join us today. I want to tell you very briefly about what we do at Eightfold.ai. Here at Eightfold, we are delivering on the promise of artificial intelligence using our sophisticated deep learning AI to make things simpler for everybody working in talent. We radically increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of talent operations with our technology integrated seamlessly with your SAP SuccessFactors product line. With this technology, we're transforming recruiting, talent attraction, internal mobility, diversity, workforce planning, and other processes so that your organization can find, keep, and grow your talent. So here are just a couple of specific examples of how we do this. First of all, with Eightfold, you can empower your workforce with the right internal mobility options so that your team can grow more productive and stay with your organization. This technology lets your team build their skills and explore career options on their own schedule, which is ideal for a remote workforce. Something else that you can do with our technology is to offer candidates the experience that they always wanted with personalization. You can offer a personalized job discovery experience on your careers page so that you'll get more applicants applying for the right job and make sure that they have a positive experience, which is critical, especially if you're expecting a large increase in the number of inbound applicants you'll receive. And as one final example of a use case that we address, with Eightfold, you can prevent bias to the greatest extent possible with technology so that your company can do the right thing and have a meaningful impact on the outcomes in diversity and inclusion. And of course, we integrate bidirectionally with your SAP SuccessFactors products so that you can extend the value that you already receive from SAP SuccessFactors. These are just a few of the use cases that our AI can address, and we'd love to tell you more about them. So please do come find us on the SAP App Center. Come connect with us and learn more. We'd love to hear from you. But that's enough for me. I'd really love to hear from Holly Quincey, who's the person we all came to hear from today. So Holly, hello. Nice to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit more about, hi, thank you so much, Holly. Can you tell us a little more about Bayer and your role?
Yes, certainly. Hello, everybody. And thank you, Steve, for inviting me to do this and co-lead this with you today. Real pleasure. In regard to myself, I'm based in London, just outside London. but have been working for Bayer for the last 3 years. I'm Global Head of Talent Attraction, as we call it now, not acquisition. We've moved forward around how we attract and retain our talent. Before I joined Bayer, just a little bit about my background. I've spent the last 20 years in talent management or project management transformation roles, long-standing in financial services as my career, and then moved over, as I say, to life sciences about 3 years ago. Really enjoying the opportunities in Bayer and the complexities of the business. Bayer has 3 key divisions. We have a crop agricultural business, we have a consumer over-the-counter business, and we have a pharma business. And talent acquisition plays a key role, obviously, in all of those. In regard to our journey and what led us to this partnership today, it really started 2 years ago in 2018 with the board requesting really a more focused people strategy after the announcement of the Monsanto acquisition. And really thinking about our more total talent population across those companies, flexibility and agility to move talent and find the skills that we need to deploy faster decision making. SAP is the system of choice for us. We wanted an integrated platform, and after much consultation with various providers, SAP was chosen to be the HR integrated one platform of choice. And therefore, anything that we looked at from a technology perspective moving forward, of course, that partnership is key and important to us with SAP. So after much consultation with the business through focused interviews around talent and flexibility and agility and how we move our talent around the organization, a people strategy was devised. The people strategy in Bayer has 5 pillars, as you can see on this chart showing now. And the 5 pillars really helped us focus with our people agenda. So speed is one of those pillars. The request was to start to worship speed, and this was really around decision-making of our leaders, stripping out complexity and processes to speed up decision-making, and really putting accountability back into leaders and our people. So creating a more trustful environment with less hierarchy and quicker decision-making. Connectivity was our second pillar. This was about really having more of an outside-in view. Bayer typically, over the last 10, 20 years, had been doing not much recruitment in the external market, very much developing from within. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a shift in that, also through the Monsanto acquisition, the hiring of 40,000 contingent workforce. Monsanto was 50% contingent and 50% perm, and therefore bringing that really new dynamic workforce segment to the organization has made a difference to how we think about total talent management and total talent attraction. So therefore, connectivity was really about having that more outward focus and being less insular as an organization, and helping our leaders to be more connected, whether that's through networks or whether that's through just understanding best-in-class talent strategies in the external market. Then we looked at our third pillar, which is strategic workforce development. People call it workforce planning or strategic workforce planning. This was really about how do we build the capabilities of the organization against core identified segments of skills that we need for the future. So how do we take those business strategies 3 to 5 years out, translate those through our succession plans into the skills and capability gaps that we have as an organization, and how does that then translate into internal talent management, development opportunities for people, and then obviously acquisition. We're coming to the point now where we have a much greater depth of understanding around the skills and capabilities that we need as an organization moving forward across all of our 3 key business areas. And this is really looking at 13, what we've narrowed down to 13 segments in that approach. And these are roles like digital marketeers or data scientists. And really now what we're looking at is saying, okay, well, how do we attract, develop, and reward against each of those skilled segments, remaining contract agnostic, and really going where the talent is, and looking at this with a much more flexibility lens around how we attract, and very much that's linked to then the modernization of our employer brand and our EVP strategies as well. In regard to kind of the third pillar, if you like, it's or the fourth pillar, sorry, it's really around how we then link that to our employer brand, our reward strategies, our plans against, as I said, EVP. And what we're trying to do is bring the whole employment proposition around how we attract candidates and talent into the organization with then how we're rewarding them. And that will be different across different segments. So how we might attract and reward a data scientist for drone engineering in LATAM for our crop business might be very different to how we attract and reward a data scientist in an oncology division of our pharma business based in Monheim in Germany. So really starting to drill down into the specifics of who is it we're trying to attract, where are they, where are the skills that we need, going to where the talent is, and then really building a whole proposition end-to-end from an employer experience perspective around what those candidates might want to see as reward, as benefits, difference in length of service, obviously with our contingent workforce and gig economy, as we know the world is in today, that actually some people might come on board only for a short period of time to help us under a project role versus those that might stay with us for a number of years, and therefore that proposition needs to look and feel very, very different. We still have some way to go around the core of our succession planning right through to development plans, but we're certainly on that journey. And since 2018, when this people strategy was first devised, actually we've come a long way in delivering towards these 5 pillars. And looking at AI and looking at the technology platforms certainly is helping with that. So we implemented SuccessFactors as the global TA applicant tracking system. And what we then went to do was look to market for a really sophisticated CRM based on AI technology. We spoke to various different organizations externally. We looked at many companies that profess to have the AI technology, and certainly spoke to experts within the field of AI and systems. We came across Eightfold, and we certainly started to have a very in-depth conversation after demoing the system around capabilities, how we could use the technology to help us build our talent portfolio. Actually, having found Eightfold and started to build that partnership, we also were thrilled that Eightfold were then in the development and integration phases of a partnership with SAP, which obviously fitted with our overall one platform strategy, and therefore not layering system over system over system. However, we still really recognize that best-in-class AI solutions for integrated talent management is key for us. We started the partnership with Eightfold last spring. We decided to run an experiment last year. That experiment, we decided to look at 3 segments of our business. One was our digital marketeers in Switzerland and very much focused on our consumer business in Switzerland. Another was data scientists globally, because that's really a skill set that we're building in terms of our capability needs. I think most organizations are hiring data scientists these days. We knew it was a skills and capability area of growth for us, and also our digital business in the US linked to Crop, which is our climate corporation business for field view farming, which is a technology-based platform for farmers. So we chose these 3 areas to run an experiment for 90 days at the end of last year with Eightfold. It was hugely, hugely successful. Really focused on hiring for skills, not for jobs. So really moving away from the traditional forms of hiring in very hierarchical role structures and moving to a much more agile, flexible, hire for skills, hire for potential mindset. These businesses and these areas are advanced in that thinking, so hence why we chose them to run the experiment. And certainly in the partnership with Eightfold and the roles that we looked at during that period at the end of last year, we certainly gained candidates on shortlists that we would never have found through traditional methods of hiring. So it was a huge success. And we then looked to continue with the partnership with Eightfold and signed a contractual deal over the coming years. We're now at the point of implementation of the system in our key markets, starting with the US as our biggest hiring market, and we're just in the throes now of putting that in, and that will be into 26 key markets, 41 locations in 11 languages by the end of this year. That's the project we're running at the moment. And really for us, having that integrated talent management view, really looking at hiring for skills, not jobs, really seeing the diversity of candidates that are coming through the talent pipelines and the shortlisting. It's been incredible. And Bayer as a company has really enabled us to think in a more agile, flexible way about how we manage our internal talent as well as attracting external talent from the market as well. I know one question that keeps coming up to me is how's it felt this year? We're in the throes of delivering this huge project, and obviously with coronavirus hitting the globe, how's that impacting the job market in my personal view? I think it depends on the market. The US for us is still hiring at the moment. Our mission has not changed in terms of hiring the best talent we possibly can for the organization, and moving talent around internally within the organization. I think that's becoming ever more prevalent when I look at the attrition rates year on year. And we've just had a look this week, actually. The attrition has dropped by a third internally. So we're seeing people wanting that stability of being in a large corporate organization, perhaps not moving this year when without coronavirus, maybe they would have thought about their next career move externally. But actually what it means for us is we need to find the best people for our business over the next 3 to 5 years, and we need to do that at pace, and we need to do that very much by looking at our internal talent pools as much as we possibly can. So perhaps those hidden skills of people that we wouldn't normally have considered for roles, but actually do have the skills and capabilities to do cross-functional jobs, moving countries, moving functions, is much more prevalent, having put Eightfold in to help us with that. Our strat for the organisation for Bayer is health for all, hunger for none, and actually ever more kind of the supporting need to create a better life for humans through our crop food business, through pharma medicine, and then consumer getting our medicines out to the patient. I think Bayer was always a company that enabled and supported flexibility and flexible working. I'm a prime role model of that. I live in London, as I stated up front, but I work out of Germany. My team's based in Germany, and I've got teams of talent acquisition across the globe as well. So for us, what's important is the outcome, and that's how we manage our talent moving forward, and Eightfold certainly helping and has helped us with that. Thank you, Steve.
Well, Holly, thank you so much. I love this story, and while you were speaking, I wanted to share this slide. I think what you and your team have developed, purposeful challenge, build your career, be you at Bayer, these 9 words are such a wonderful distillation of what an employment proposition that truly attracts talent should be and truly retains talent. You shared with us before the call began a metric around the retention rate at Bayer. Would you be willing to share that with the audience?
Yeah.
Because I think it speaks to the power of what you're doing and the culture you've built.
Yeah, so of course, Steve, no problem. I mean, this time last year, we were looking at attrition sitting at 6.6% globally as an average across the organisation. And today, actually, I pulled the number this morning, and it's sitting at 2.1%. So a huge drop. Now, is that because we're moving talent around the organisation rather than losing our talented people? I would like to think so. I'm sure that COVID-19 has also played a part in that around people wanting stability. But certainly that's a very positive number, and one that I'm sure the board will be delighted with over the coming days, given we really want to retain our top talent.
Well, that's wonderful. I know here in America, if we had a 15-year retention rate, let alone a 30-year retention rate, almost any company would be ecstatic. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, Holly, thank you so much for sharing the story. I did want to give Brittany a chance to come back and see if there were any questions from the audience about Bayer's transformation journey or Eightfold.
Yes, thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. Before we get to the question and answer portion of our event, I just want to remind everyone that in order to participate in the Q&A, you can type your question into the text box located beside the slide window and click Submit. Let's see here. Our first question, how does this transformation strategy help with speed in talent acquisition?
Sorry, Brittany, can you just repeat the question, please?
Yes, absolutely. How does this transformation strategy help with speed in talent acquisition?
So thank you. Yes, I mean, it absolutely helps with speed. I mean, how we were doing talent acquisition previously was in a very traditional way, through LinkedIn or through external search firms, especially at the more senior end of hiring. And now through using the Eightfold system, where we have rolled out, certainly at a touch of a button, we're able to see all of the candidates with the right skills that match that role specific within minutes. So if we look at all of our internal population, the skills that people have, the roles that they've performed in the past, and also looking at anything that's within the public domain externally, from a candidate perspective, we're able to get to shortlist much, much quicker than we would have done in the old traditional methods. And also reduction of cost, so from a commercial perspective as well, less reliance on external providers to help us create those shortlists. So it hugely sped up the process for us.
Excellent. Our next question here, what was it like working with the Eightfold team, and was the implementation painful?
So, it's interesting when we looked at this partnership, and I absolutely will and have always called it a partnership. This isn't a supplier-client relationship. This is a true partnership. We were looking for an organization where we could really co-create together. We wanted an organization that was agile enough, that could build and work with us. We're a large matrix organization, and therefore needed a team of people that we felt really comfortable to work with. I have to say the team has been absolutely outstanding. There's no problem or no question too difficult or too onerous to answer. I'm sure there has been more frustration on the side of the Eightfold team than there has on the side of the Bayer team, because Bayer is slower just by the purpose of the fact that we're so huge in some of our processing. And of course, Eightfold is very agile and much, much smaller. So that's been great. Where there was a moment in San Francisco where we were all sat in Mountain View in their offices, where we were looking at some part of the process that we wanted to improve from a candidate experience perspective, and 3 or 4 people went into a breakout room, solved the problem there and then came back, and it was really dynamic. It was really inspirational, and we made huge step forward in terms of our candidate experience perspective. So we love the fact that they're fast, we love the fact they're agile, we love the fact that it's a great partnership, and we love the fact that it's felt very co-creation and dynamic in the relationship. So all good so far, Brittany, but we've got a big rollout to do ahead of us this year. Ask me again in 6 months.
We have a couple questions here. I'm just going to combine them together. They're all on the topic of coronavirus. How has hiring changed at Bayer in light of coronavirus, and how has this impacted your talent acquisition?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I think it depends on the country and the market. The US has been hiring still. We still have 2,000 vacancies in our US business. That's internal and external, but we are still hiring. That's a growth market for us after the acquisition of Monsanto, as it was. But other countries and in Europe are slowing down, and we're looking at more of how do we manage our internal talent, how do we develop our internal talent, and how do we perhaps look at more internal hiring again. I think the contingent workforce is something that's coming on stream thick and fast, but I wonder with coronavirus whether that will continue in that way and that trend. Certainly when I talk to external bodies like McKinsey's or Accenture or EY or Willis, Towers Watson, actually the feeling is perhaps that will shift again and pivot back to people wanting stability of larger organizations rather than gig roles or what we call obviously consultancy contingent roles. So I think we're starting to see a shift of that in Europe. I wonder if that will become a more global shift as we move forward. But for now, Bayer is pretty stable in terms of its hiring volumes.
Great. Next question here. What is Eightfold developing next?
Well, I suppose I will address that one, Brittany. We are looking at extending our artificial intelligence to do more. Without pre-announcing anything that I'm not in a position to pre-announce today, I'll say that we are extending more in end-to-end experiences for learning and development, for skills development, a lot of which is focused at employees within the organization to help them grow and advance into future roles. That's something we're focused on. In an area that I think spans between talent acquisition and employee mobility and employee management, we are looking at applying the artificial intelligence for projects and gigs. Holly had mentioned contingent work, in order to match people and opportunities that may not be a full-time job or a opportunity with no end date. So we're applying the AI as well to solve some of these challenges. So we certainly look forward to saying more about them as we have specific product announcements over the course of the year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. If we did not get to your question, someone will follow up with you within the next few business days. Steve, Holly, Byrne, is there anything you'd like to add before I wrap things up?
Well, we're delighted to be here with the partnership with SAP and Bayer. Thank you so much for the invitation today, Brittany and team.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you, Steve, and thank you, Brittany, for facilitating.
Thank you both so much, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar, Talent Attraction in a Changed Economy, How to Adapt, Grow, and Move Forward Today, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by SAP Endure Staff with Eightfold and Bayer. Tomorrow you will receive an email reminder to access this presentation on demand. On behalf of SAP Insider and our guests Steve Bayer, Holly Quincey, and Byrne Smith, thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.